I had to write this down because, like you yourselves, I'm also grieving, so forgive me if I'm having to read too much. The image of the little bunny running, that really resonates. I was told by one of her sisters and her mother that Djinn read this book over and over to her children. Whenever she came to the point where the bunny set sail, she paused and cried. She saw herself as the bunny, running away to something better and always searching. She told her family that she was the bunny and that the mother in her mind was God. Another story shared with me is about a time when Djinn sat among some of you in AA meeting. When it came time to discuss loving herself as one of the steps of recovery, she argued fiercely, "No, I don't have to love myself, and I won't." When questioned by her peers, she explained that she did not want to die. She did not hate herself in the respect of some reason to try and, some self-pity. But that it was her desire to be released from the burden of herself and to be free, to let the wind direct her where she wanted to go and where it wanted her to go. One of Djinn's favorite authors is David Sedaris. He has been quoted as saying, "I haven't got the slightest idea of how to change people, but still I keep a long list of prospective candidates just in case I should ever figure it out." For some of us, Djinn was one of our candidates. This quote reminds me of how many times I've been asked to do something about her behavior, her fears, her undefined je ne sais quoi. Is that how you say it? That I don't know, that wasn't quite right, somehow to direct her path, to show her the way. I'm not the only one who tried to intervene. Many people seem to have the answer, quote unquote, to what ailed her. Jesus, pills, philosophy, psychiatrists and psychologists, a certain way of eating, a special way of breathing, moving, being. She was bombarded with advice promising her an opiate, an elixir, and a cure. She believed every declaration with all her heart, at first anyway. For a time, I thought I had the answers for her too. She also asked me to do something. My former husband, anyway. Sorry, I just had to let that out. My former husband promised Djinn at work, because they worked together, to remake a dress, a very special dress, a cut by a slinky. It fit just so. It made her feel special and free just wearing it. He told Djinn not to worry. My wife, that would be me, is so creative, she will recreate it for you. I took a class in costume design. I got like a C-. I think I barely made it through there. He told Djinn not to worry. My husband and Djinn went back to work, 2 master salesmen selling high-end shoes. Later, my former husband plopped down that paper bag in front of me on the counter in the kitchen, sewed the dress, and he pretty much made it in order. I don't sew, at least not since that costuming class, and I don't even have a sewing machine. So I demanded that he take the dress back to her. We fought a lot. He said that he was losing face, and I told him, well, I'd love to see you lose your face and get out of here. I'd rather not see it again. Several months later, I received a call from a confused woman who was afraid I was making fun of her, maybe even playing a trick. After that phone call, I discovered the bag with Djinn's dress stashed in the back of our closet. and not returned. I could have just given her back the dress. Sorry, lady. Sorry. I have an idiot husband. But that would not do. My husband needed to get what he was due. And so did Djinn. And so did Djinn. So I took his whole paycheck. And then I took his other paycheck. And I took another part of the other paycheck. Several $100s later, in a few more months, the dress was made by a commissioned professional. I handpicked the finest fabric from the swankiest place myself. The dress was quality. It was pristine. In the meantime, I had received another troubling call from Djinn. I just wanted to get her the dress. Just get her the dress and be done with it. But something else was nagging at me, and I could not let it go. The day the dress was ready, I called Djinn to set time to come over. But something about that call was very wrong. I prayed for a simple answer to shoo away my dread, but what I received instead, some might call it a compulsion, some an insight. They might call it intuition. You can call it what you want. It was a command, an impulse, and I complied. I arrived carrying the dress neatly in a box, plus a full set of goodies, a fancy silver serving tray, and containers of my finest tea, because I had a tea collection, and that's what you always do when you're going over to some stranger's house, is pack the contents of a random collection and drag it over there. Even so, I resolved just to hand her the dress and run off in the friendliest way possible. Maybe no one would even need to know that I was nuts. Unfortunately, she asked me to come inside. Sheepishly, I put the box down and apologized for how weird this all looked. Pretty sure my actions must appear pretty crazy. On top of it, I had all this tea to share, and I didn't have a kettle. She paused, then whispered. Something had told her to take her kettle out before I arrived and heat up the water. She said tearfully she did not know why she had done that, because she didn't have any tea. She laughed, relieved. This is the beginning of my relationship with Djinn and her family. This was the start of a dark time in Djinn's life. When she had given up hope, she had tried to give up on her life too. I was asked to come back. The dress and the visit has sparked something in her. In time, I learned more about my new friend. Djinn searched among the mystic and the sensual to abolish, or at least diminish, the darkness that sucked color from within her, leaving the void paper gray. She flung her arms wide, nurturing and brightening everything within her reach, to then cleave it to herself, crushing the spirits of the vines and making wine out of our bitterness. She poured herself into our cups until we all overflowed, and she lived moment to moment, daintily savoring the smallest pleasures and victories, her own and ours. Each of us met her when she paralleled one of our own journeys. We shared our notes, trail markers, lent her our reflections, dogmas, and workarounds. And no matter how ugly or frail, no matter how many mistakes or regrets we revealed to her, it didn't matter. Weakness for weakness, we made a home with each other, usually around her dinner table. Her home was a safe retreat, a place to rest from our heroics, where we could trade comforts, drink coffee, wine, smoke some cigarettes, enjoy her excellent cooking. This is the first time I ever ate curry and liked it. Something about adding cinnamon, she told me. She had an intelligent mind and loved to discuss. She was just extremely curious. Her own frailty contrasted boldly against her spirit, sharpening her beauty, making her rush at life even more irresistible. In gratitude, she chose to love the indomitable in each of us. We, in turn, loved her muse. Djinn did not always know her own strength. She confided to me that she felt so weak and tired and insignificant. The universe was too awesome. Time rendered her nostalgic memories of past happiness useless. And then a little more each day, when she was feeling well again, she told me how each day changed, revealing itself to her as a super-saturated masterpiece in the making. Her making! Oof. I don't know about any of you, but if you ever got involved with Djinn when she was in the middle of a new project, oh my God. I could tell how Djinn was doing based on her decor and her clothing. When we met, her home was tidy. The couch blocked the window, the shades were drawn. She sat facing a wall, and the family watched a tiny TV despite an over-the-shoulder glare. Her hair was tucked behind her ears, errant curls were wetted down before going astray. Her children, Alex and Jared, were her world. There's no way I can convey to all of you how deeply she loves her children. And it's not the sacrificial love of a mother, exactly. I mean, I think all mothers feel that way. But there's just this deep, deep connection and delight that she has with her children. Her children were her world. The joy she poured into us, she poured into them tenfold. They were her one bright spot in her rich inner world that was dimming and closing in. Later, as she grew stronger again, she made art. She plotted surprises, played with craft supplies, sang songs, laughed at the children's silly jokes. I remember Jared sharing extremely weird and nonsensical jokes at the table, and Djinn always laughed at them. I didn't always get it, but maybe it was just because they were so connected. She discussed current events versus history, reveled in our delight. She had her hair styled, even shorter, cuter, and then sexier. When clothes shopping, Djinn's tastes were thrifty, striking, and immaculate. We envied her. She transformed her home, changing it into an increasing expression of sophistication. She went out more to book readings and concerts, restaurants, movies, museums. She collected her friends like works of art, deeply appreciative of our value. She showed us again and again that we are her treasure. She shared many passions, so many passions. Family relationships and events were finally fun again, full of skits, her wide smiles rewarding us, her attention elevating our minor faux pas into shared moments, the children playing with their gleeful aunt Djinn and memories retold. She danced. She really knew how to boogie down. I do not boogie down, so you will have to imagine this. She was eager to teach us the steps. She loved, and we loved her in return. And then she would cycle low again. It started with a little twitch to the side of her smile, and a sudden tearing up, and a self-conscious turn of her head. She would disappear, then show up at odd times, and start searching again for another answer, something more she could believe in.
If you become the wind and blow me, said the little bunny, I will join a circus and fly away on a trapeze. If you go flying on a trapeze, said his mother, I will be a tightrope walker, and I will walk across the air to you. If you become a tightrope walker and walk across the air, said the bunny, I will become a little boy and run into a house.